Hello, welcome back to the ministry. I think we on like part 5 of this, but you are in a phase now where there must be a level of public recognition for your shame, all that you have went through. Your wedding will be a public spectacle. God is going to allow some of y'all weddings. It doesn't mean that your initial marriage is going to be a public spectacle. Catch that. Because some of y'all going to elope and the wedding will be later. But it's going to be a public event. And because of this is going to bring about transformation in your family. Because there's going to be a level of restoration. There were 40 years, 4 generations back of sin that was acutely messed with on the bloodline with air, water, blood covenants, property covenants, all kinds of stuff on both of your family sides. But Joel 2 and 25 states through 27 that, and I will restore you of all of the years, the caterpillar, the palmer worm, the great army, the locust, the cankerworm, all of those kinds of things, which I sent among you. God sent these things to destroy these things. So it was an actual plan that he had that these things would destroy everything that was not of him and ruin it within your life. And ye shall eat plenty and be satisfied. God is sending you into a promised place. And he's showing you that he's going to restore you 100% in every area that you have been dried in. And you will eat the fat of the land and be satisfied. And praise the name of the Lord in it. And some of you have been in trepidation because you want these things, but you don't want the warfare that could come with getting these things. Because you know that there's an attack, especially if you recognize the way the enemy works. Every time a blessing comes in your life, there's a gut punch that hits immediately after. And you're like, oh God, what a gut punch. Oh man, this thing is big. I'm about to receive something big. What's the gut punch coming after behind that? And God's trying to tell you it's not going to be as bad as you thought. But there may be some gut punches because for some of you, the judgment that's going to come to the people and the places and the situations that you walked out of in order to walk into these blessings, that's going to be the gut punch because the Lord is trying to prepare your heart because some of these things will not be able to be saved. God that hath dealt wondrously with you, and my people shall never be ashamed. And ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am Lord your God, and none else. My people shall never be ashamed. He's removing the shame. But in removing the shame, he must bring a blessing so powerful that is so overriding and so public that it's going to demolish everybody else's opinion of everything else that occurred. But the blessing is meant to also be so good in your life that even the tactics of the enemy to try to overthrow that blessing ain't even gonna hit like they used to, because the blessing is that good. And as you walk through your marriage, your husband will learn to carry the spiritual mantle that has been bestowed upon his life, but he will gain an understanding through spiritual lessons that he's still going to have to go through because he's not where you are in the spirit. necessary in order to walk in this position as the king of your household, as the prophet of your household. I remember the apostle was talking about how he used to, on a yearly basis, had his family come and sit around the table, and he would prophesy over their year, into their life, and pray certain things. When your children are born, your husband is supposed to lay his right hand upon them and pray a blessing upon each of your children to cover them. How to walk. Your husband will learn how to walk as a father and be a teacher to teach them with the wisdom necessary for them to be able to walk into the things that God has called them to walk in. And the wisdom that he gives and gains will give them the godly character to be able to be the prophets that they are called to be, but to also be able to speak that into their own children. Your daughters' spouses, if you prayed correctly over your children, your daughter's spouses will have a mantle to continue to speak life into them when they get married. See, this is the thing the enemy's been fighting you on. This is why he never wants you to get with your God ordained spouse, because you are going to speak life. You are going to speak life into your spouse and heal them of their traumas. They're going to speak life into you in the areas that you are traumatized. And it's supposed to be passed on to the next generation that they are supposed to do so. Okay? That their husbands will do the same for their children. When there is a stopgap, meaning the child marries the wrong person or something happens, the anointing of the person that is head over them in that household can potentially make the difference. I'm about to tell you a story of somebody that I've recently been in prayer about. Okay? I've watched this family and I've been told about them by a friend of mine, and they really need God in them really bad. The husband is not walking with God like that. The husband serves other gods. I forget what his original thing that he served was. The wife loves Jesus. Their children, oh, they double-minded all day long. I have never seen kids. Every time I hear about this, half the time I don't even want to listen about anything in relation to them, because it pisses me off that I know how I was raised. And the fact that the mother is allowing the children to curse her and tell her all this type of stuff is ridiculous. She got 4 kids, and one's a really small one. And the really small one is even disrespecting her because he's seeing the other kids do it. She got 3 daughters. And the oldest 2 are pretty much okay. But the youngest daughter, the child that she had last, and the youngest daughter's daughter, because the youngest daughter went off and got pregnant when she was in high school. And nobody knew that she was pregnant. This child turned around and went out and got hooked up with somebody that was on drugs. And this person locked her in a room and was beating on her. Now, some might call that justified for what she was doing to her mother. But in some cases, I would look at this as there is a level of disorder The father did not have control because he wasn't serving God. The mother's serving God and she ain't got no help in the house. And then on top of that, she's telling the father not to discipline the children. You see how out of order that is? I needed to give you that example because you need to know. And you know what's happening to the mother right now? Because she's operating in the wrong place. One, she's got an infirmity in her body. She's dealing with a heavy level of cancer that has tried to keep coming back to her every single time. And one of the children, the child that hates her the most, that's the one that she gets sick every time that person's in the house. When that child left and went into that other environment and was being isolated and abused, the mother actually got better while she wasn't in that house. Mhm. Mhm. So why did I tell you that story? There must be order because within the generations, if you don't handle your curses, that's the type of lifestyle you might see happen where your children are being disrespectful to you because the demon that's in the bloodline, because there was no work done on the husband, and then certain infirmities are coming upon you for certain curses you did not break. That's what it looks like when a house is run over by curses. You don't want that. You don't need it. Mm-mm. So you need to get your house in order spiritually so that you may be able to cover, because you don't want to have that warfare in your house. The husband must have the right head in order for him to guide the wife. The wife is guiding because she's the only one that got God in her. And the rest of the house is coming out of disorder and disarray because of it. And then she got infirmity in her because everything's out of order. You don't need out of order. Get your house in order. Okay? Now I'm coming back because there's another part I need to do. Hold on.